It is a 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles. And it's Monday. Monday. Everybody loves Mondays. June 9th, AD 2025. What's up, everybody? I'm live on multiple platforms. I will be taking your calls. If you'd like to call in, feel free. You are welcome, okay? I won't bite your head off. And if I do, shame on me. It's not so bad to get your head bitten off by Hake. I can't promise I won't bite your head off, actually. Right? No promises. But you please do if you'd like to. I enjoy talking with you. I did see, I think I saw some super chats come in. buymeacoffee.com/the Hake Report. Shout out. Thank you guys. Thank you all, including the people who assume, because I don't thank them every single time, that that I was not thanking them. Touchy. It's typical. Isn't that typical? Kind of like a shout out to the ladies. It was Female Monday on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. It kind of like a woman. You know what I mean? How like you do something or you don't do something, or you do something different from how you do something with somebody else, and then they are comparing how you treated them to how you treated her. A woman will compare how you treat some other gal or some other guy to how you treat her. And in this case, I'm talking about a man acting like a woman. Shout out to the men, so-called, who act like women, and to the ladies who don't act very ladylike, being all mad because they're comparing how you're treating them to how you're treating others. What a mess. I don't know if you guys know what I'm even trying to say. I think you guys do. I pretty much know what I'm trying to say. Thank you, JLP, rating the stream. I'm live on, well, what's up, Christopher, Stat, Mark, Thor Mode, the Great White Pope, hey, Matt, living the dream, hey! What's up, man? What's up, Matt, living the dream? We were just talking about you. He's fit, not fat. That's cool. Much respect. What's up, Waldo, 39, Age of Inversion, Commander Kim? Old Saucy, Urinal Chills. By the way, quick disclaimer, everything that you hear on the on the Hake Report, not the Jesse Lee Peterson show. Well, that too, I guess. But everything that you hear on the Hake Report especially, you better be taking it with a grain of salt. Which is to say, don't necessarily believe it, nor disbelieve it. And don't take it to heart, because, the views expressed on this show don't represent Bond, JLP, Jesse Lee Peterson, the network, this host even. Like I said, I don't even represent myself very well. I shake my head. Or even this platform on which I'm streaming or recorded or whatever you want to call it. No endorsement nor opposition implied, okay? General information and entertainment. Shout out. Lots of mess going on in the world. My goodness. I was amused this morning because Greta Thunberg was in the news. It's always amusing when Greta Thunberg. I'm trying to speak it in the Swedish way. The mentally ill Swedish child. I disavow. Sorry, guys. It's not right. I shouldn't be. But it's just so catchy. Shout out to the Daily Wire, my competitor. What's that guy's name? Knowles. Michael Knowles? Not to be confused with Matthew Knowles, Beyonce's dad. Michael Knowles, I believe it is, the Christian from one of the Christians on who came to the men's conference one year, maybe 2018 or 2019 or something. No, it would have been like 2018, I think. Maybe 2017 or so. He was on Fox News, and he referred to Greta Thunberg, because she was a child at that point, underage, 15 or so, as a mentally ill Swedish child, because the whole mainstream media and phony politicians were all propping her up because she is, as many boys and men with so-called autism are, hyper-focused on things. So she hyper-focused on this climate propaganda, and she became part, or an object, a tool of the propaganda. Whoa, Hake, back off that cliff. Don't try to do what Hake is doing, kids. It's not a good example. We're out overlooking the thing. The beach, the big, beautiful beach. Overlooking the big, beautiful ball Earth. It's a big, beautiful ball. And on that big, beautiful ball, Greta Thunberg. And Simone Biles. Greta Thunberg is a climate activist, right? So-called. And she's 22-ish now, I think. And Simone Biles is another young lady. I use the term lady a little loosely, because she's being kind of nasty on X, or was anyway. Maybe she's different now. Maybe she's repented. She's being kind of nasty on X against a feminist. I call her feminist. TERF, trans-exclusionary radical feminist. Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines probably does not identify remotely as a feminist, but she's probably feminist influenced, right? I mean, she's a woman trying to play sports. Women don't play sports. Shout out. Sorry, guys. Ladies. Hold on. I'm getting a little bit distracted because of this background noise. I'm turning off the background noise of my thing. So Riley Gaines is this woman who, like an athlete, swimmer or something, I think. And she would lose to transgenders or complain about, the transgenders. Shout out, the male to female, so-called, transgenders dominating these women's sports. And Simone Biles is on the transgender side against Riley Gaines. So it's feminist versus feminist, in my opinion. Pardon me, Riley, and pardon me, Simone Biles. She's that short, cute, black girl athlete thing. She has this nice smile. She's on TV commercials for something, I don't know. And multiple time gold medal winner, I think. She's won more gold medals than anybody in Olympics, I think. Male or female. Something to that effect, right? A lot. She's probably got Michael Phelps beat in terms of the number of gold medals. And, but she takes mental illness breaks or something like that. I could be, don't quote me on that. So, again, disclaimer, I disavow, but correct me if I'm wrong, but she quits for a bit. Reminds me of Naomi Osaka, a tennis player. Mixed race tennis player, Black Lives Matter activist, doesn't know what she's talking about, tennis player. So, the ladies. What was it? Oh yeah, disclaimer. So, anyway, the lines are filling up. There is one line open, 1-888-775-3773. I believe that I left over some people, I believe that I left some people on hold on Friday, and so I mentioned that there should be some so-called priority callers. I acknowledge that I don't always really remember. So you got to remind the screener. And so when I say priority, it's actually like just lip service, okay? But I do sometimes try to honor that, okay? When say you called in, but I couldn't get to you, So whatever, I don't care. You don't care either. I want to get things going here. If that's okay with you. And even if it's not okay. So, anyway, guys, let me turn this back on because I like a little bit of background noise, even if I'm talking. Look at that. Listen to that. Just yapping. Let's just get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. I'm a little lightheaded from yelling so loud. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I used to make my face red on purpose as a kid in elementary school, because you can kind of hold your breath, sort of, like prevent your breath and just push. And I almost am tempted to do it, but they say it's not good to do or it's dangerous or something, and whatever. People would be like, wow, he's turned so red. It's like a little parlor trick. I don't know why they call it parlor, but whatever. Anyway, I want to get to some calls here before I get into some of this news, okay? First, Alan in Michigan is on the line over here, and I wanted to get with Alan here. What's up, Alan? How you doing?
Oh, nothing much. Just got in from some gardening.
Right on, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm a frustrated farmer.
Equestrian, what did you say? What type of farmer?
A frustrated farmer.
Oh. Okay, nice.
But you had mentioned, I just caught you had a few words about Greta Thunberg.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, and not the main thing I wanted to mention, is I feel bad for her. I believe that looking at her, especially when she was younger, very odd looking, and I finally found out what she might be a victim of: fetal alcohol syndrome.
Well, I disavow that completely, just for the sake of decency. I don't want to smear her parents or anything. She does have an interesting look.
Yeah.
Greta.
Yeah.
Thunberg. But you know people who've had that or something, or why you
yes, I had mentioned over a month ago a fellow I know. I referred to him as Max the Nazi.
Oh, you're an old friend or something?
Well, yeah, kind of a friend. Acquaintance, yes.
Yeah. I think she's kind of cute.
He was, and he, by his own admission, he said he was drunk for 25 years of his life. And when I met him, there was just something about him that he wasn't stupid or anything, but there was just something you could tell something had happened to him. And I saw the same thing in Greta. And I feel bad for the gal. I think perhaps she is being used. And
I mean, obviously she's being used. She's an activist. And in the media, anybody who's an activist and in the media is being used by evil.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. Good point. I hadn't really thought of that.
I think she's cute. She's not maybe quite as cute as Pearl, but she's a cute white girl.
Yeah, she's attractive.
So, well, yeah, I don't want to speculate like that about her,
right.
her body or parents in that way. So I totally disavow that.
And rightly you should. Rightly you
Yeah.
should. It's an opinion, a speculation on my part, and that's good. Now, to the real meat of the matter, Mark from California called, and he actually said blacks were created to serve us. I strongly disagree with that, although there are many things I agree with him on. For example, blacks have never created a viable, last-longing civilization. But as I had mentioned, I believe that the 7 basic races were divinely created. Well, why would God or the eternal self-existent one create different levels of IQ? IQ is only one measurement.
Right.
And it just so happens that whites have been given this building and problem solving. And the idea was, and if you go to the scripture, what was Abraham supposed to do? You say it used to be a blessing to all the nations. Now, it doesn't mean we're supposed to go in there and take over and stuff. No, in fact, I think the slavery issue in America was basically a failing on our people's part to end slavery, and that's what caused the Civil War, because a lot of families, white families from Ireland and England, that they came over here as indentured service. They had to serve from 5 to 7 years, and then that paid for their passage. The problem was the blacks were brought over, and they were never freed.
Yeah.
And that is a violation of biblical law. Biblical law has servants and slaves, but they're not permanent.
Oh.
There is no permanent slavery in Scripture.
Yeah, they had something called the Year of Jubilee. Oh, my punchy TV went down, it looks like. Sorry.
Bingo.
Guys.
You're reading my thoughts.
Yeah, the Year of Jubilee, every 7 years, you all debts are canceled. That means that for example, my friend and yours, Ben Shapiro, not that I know him personally, I met him, but he bet lunch in 2016 that Donald J. Trump would lose the election, and Jesse bet him lunch, I guess. And so he owed Jesse lunch, but it's been more than 7 years. So the Year of Jubilee has passed, and so that debt is forgiven. And slaves are freed on Jubilee, right? Something like that?
Well, it's partially correct. What is a cycle of 7 years? You have the 7-day Sabbath, which we're all familiar with. The 7-year Sabbath, that's when the land is allowed to rest. No wheat farming, no corn farming, and everything. And there's a practical reason for this, because if there's nothing for the insects to eat, they will die off, and you don't need to use pesticides and herbicides and stuff to kill them.
It's kind of like you let a fire happen every so often, and then if a fire doesn't go so out of control when you let fires happen a little bit.
Oh, yes, that's true. In
Like
fact, when I was in
fires.
Greece one time, I saw that they were burning fields. They're very common over there, and I think there's some parts of the United States that do that. However, there's a cycle, and then there's the 49th year, a 7 times 7 cycle.
Whoa.
That's another where you shut down and all debts are in abeyance. They're not
But anyway,
necessarily canceled.
Let's get back to created to serve. Aren't we all created to serve one another?
Ultimately, I believe
Sorta?
it's to the
As a
self-existent
Christian, I mean, that's
eternal.
what Jesus said,
Yeah.
something like that, right?
Yeah, right.
The Son of Man
But-
came not to be served, but to serve,
Exactly.
etc.
Exactly. Yeah. And the idea was we were to help the other races of the world.
In that sense, they were created to serve whites, and whites to serve blacks, and whites to serve fellow whites, and blacks to serve fellow blacks, and whatever, right? Or no?
Well, in a sense, yes.
Although
yes. And,
Mark was, I don't think Mark necessarily thinks in that way. I don't think he thinks that way.
Well, I'd love to meet the guy and talk with him for about 5 hours.
Because if you
over
look
tea and
at
crumpets.
if you look at the New Testament, Paul or somebody wrote about masters treat your slaves well because you have a master too, and Christ, right? At least that's what Paul said. I know there's some Paul deniers who say, "Oh, you're not servants, you're friends." But anyway, and also slaves obey your masters because you're free in Christ. And so be free, but obey. Be free inwardly
Right.
in your spirit, but obey your masters and do right.
Yes, exactly.
Now,
we were
wasn't
just
it a black
talking-
dude who got the permanent slave? He had the first legal permanent slaves. Anthony Johnson, some black guy, I think.
Good point. I don't know the particular name, but I know that blacks owned slaves in the South. There were blacks that owned slaves. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, whites didn't like slavery. Well, it's like us competing with the slave labor in China for this cheap garbage that they send us.
Yeah.
And the same thing in the
Right.
South. You had these permanent black slaves, and the whites had to compete with their cheap labor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting
and,
point.
And I'll go further, and I'll say that what happened was, in some cases, these blacks came over here, and they in Virginia, particularly, there was what was called brass altar worship, and what it was, everybody went to church on Sunday. Blacks had their own section, usually in the galleries, upper galleries.
Oh,
And the
nice.
whites, they were separated, but they listened to the Word of God. What I think happened, this is my opinion, that these blacks, they learned English or whatever, and they got hold of the Bible, they started reading the Bible, and they said, hey, we're just like these Israelites that were in bondage. And I believe that some of these blacks actually appealed to God that said, we're being held here contrary to biblical law and what is right and just. And that's one of the triggers that started the Civil War. Now, people say, well, it was about slavery, it was about terror. Well, there's a lot of things that were going on. But slavery was a very big part of it, and I believe it was God's judgment on our people for not freeing them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting,
Yeah.
man. Well, I appreciate your call and your input, Alan in
Yeah,
Michigan.
and by the way, I just wanted to add, I enjoy those pictures you take of the coast in the California when you're walking around and everything.
Beautiful, right? So cool. Thank you, man.
Pines, I don't know if you've ever been there. So, okay, just shout out on that.
Right on. Thank you.
All right, thanks for taking the call.
Of course. Take care.
You too.
Bye. Wow. And William in California, another priority caller here. William, thanks for calling.
Jim,
Yeah. Hey.
you got lost again Friday, and it's all good. We all cool here, but how dare you interrupt our Black Friday with someone who wants an audition to a CSI show up in Washington? I don't care about what happened to George Floyd.
Oh.
You got lost.
Yeah, it's somewhat interesting to me, but it's actually overall,
Don't make no sense.
it's not. It's like,
Yeah.
it's so over. What happened, it happened. And we pray for the living. I don't know. I don't think do you pray for the
Man.
dead?
I ain't worried about the dead, man.
Okay.
If it ain't somebody I know, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
man.
I just know that
I
you're a
don't care nothing
Catholic, and
about
sometimes Catholics do.
Well, no, this ain't biblical or nothing, man. I
Nice.
don't care nothing about what happened to George Floyd and how
Yeah.
his enzymes attached to his DNA after prompt force trauma. I don't care nothing about that dude. And then the flat Earth thing again.
Oh yeah, I totally got carried away with the flat Earth.
I
thing.
mean,
that was terrible. So,
Well, I'm gonna get to my story,
shout
but the
out
flat
to-
Earth thing is. Oh,
shout
my
out
goodness.
to the other William. I got carried away with him.
Yeah. Shout out to William.
Yeah.
And shout out to
Seven.
Matt living the American dream. How
Oh,
about
yeah.
that? You mentioned his name. That's a good friend of mine. And
Right on.
Blazing Hogs. Blazing Hogs. I've seen him recently.
Nice.
Shout out to those guys. And of course, Rick and David O'Connell.
Beautiful.
Mark in LA. Good people.
That's right.
Okay, so I had the exclusives for you before the show was over. It actually already went down. Musk was a temporary employee. His time was up, and he had been going through it with Donald Trump. There's no drama here. This is big boy toys. They fell out about the EV mandate. And Trump picked the American public over the EV mandate. That's what they're falling out. They were falling out about it 3 weeks ago.
That's what that was? Are you sure that's what that was about? Because I've heard it
That's up
speculated.
in there. It's up in, well, and then also the Epstein thing. The Epstein thing.
Well, that wasn't really the basis of the fallout.
Yeah.
That was just was just an
It's
accusation.
just petty for him to go mention that, but
Right.
Epstein's attorney said he debunked it and said, "Man, Trump ain't did nothing wrong in this."
Nice.
So it turned out over the
I didn't know
weekend,
that.
Friday and Saturday.
If
Yeah,
true.
this is exclusive. Friday and Saturday, it was a no story.
Okay.
And it was just a hit back on Musk because he was upset about the EV thing. I don't want a Tesla. You don't want a Tesla. We don't want electric cars. And Trump is getting combustion motors back on the assembly line. So
right on.
Go on with our
That's
life.
nice
He
to
picked
hear.
us over Musk. It's okay. He
Yeah.
was a temporary employee. His time was up, and it's not that deep.
Indeed.
Now, let's get to the news.
Okay.
You guys okay down there?
Yeah, doing fine. You're talking about the LA riots. The LA pro-illegal riots.
No, this is over by the donut shop. I think that big donut. Is that down there is that by Long Beach, by the 710 or something?
I'm not sure. I didn't know that there was one down that way.
It was in Compton.
Okay.
And so,
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. How dare you tell the Mexicans or the illegals or whoever you are that you can't be here illegally? You don't even have any rights. They tore that place up, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, we had another one up here in San Francisco. Antifa planned a
Of course.
demonstration that turned violent up here in San Francisco at the immigration building in the financial district. And they graffitied buses and buildings and busted windows, and 60 people were arrested.
That's up in SF or
downtown
Oakland.
Downtown,
Oh, okay.
Downtown San Francisco.
Hmm.
60
Crazy.
arrested Antifa members.
I didn't
so
know
on
that.
and so on. Yeah. So we had it up here. They planned it. So they said Antifa's going to kick something off in San Francisco, and they did.
Yeah.
It was a mess. They messed with the public transportation, the BART system, everything. All right. We don't have a right to tell you you don't have to visit here. That's pretty rich, isn't it?
That is.
No, that's pretty rich. And nobody can tell you that you have no business being here. So I'm glad you guys are okay down there, though.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Bond was around. I wasn't at Bond, of course. I was a kid during the LA riots. Was that 92?
92. Yeah.
It sounds about right. I was like in fifth.
It was
fourth
written
grade.
that Trump is trying to save Los Angeles from another 92, and the Marines are on standby, and I think that guard has been called, and Trump went over Newsom's head and called him, because Newsom was the one that was supposed to call him.
Yeah. Wow.
And then Karen Bass, remember just a couple of months ago, she looked like a little stupid kid at the table when they were Trump was there.
Oh yeah, he
For
dominated.
the fires.
over there.
Remember that? She was kissing up. She was kissing the ring because she needed the money to help the people that she messed over there in Pacific Palisades. Okay.
Yeah.
So now she's playing the power game and sitting up there on social media talking about what's right, what's wrong, and it's like, here we go again. You mean you want your city torn up? For some people that don't belong here. For some people that don't belong here, really?
Yeah, exactly. It's
And the
not
blacks,
right.
how come you guys are not uproared that they're giving all this attention to these Mexican flags flying around in their own country? Ain't doing nothing for you. Now let me get them to spend some super chat money.
Nice.
Okay. What's this uproar?
Look, they
'Cause
blocked the freeways. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get them to spend some super chats. Understand they want to. They're actually going to rename a ship back from Harvey Milk back to something decent. Do you know who Harvey Milk is?
Yeah, he was a radical homosexual activist and politician.
Sadistic, sick homosexual behavior in City Hall, and that's how Dianne Feinstein ended up being mayor, because there was an assassination at City Hall. It was Harvey Milk and Mayor Moscone killed by Dan White. You remember that? Then he had the riots, the gay riots. Remember that?
No, I've heard a little bit about it, but that's all I know.
But you'll never see that. That needs to be removed. the USS Harvey Milk. It's a done deal. It's already going to be renamed, and it really shouldn't even be named the John Lewis. It shouldn't even be named that. But
Yeah.
they're going to change
Ridiculous.
that, and they're also going to get all the gays out of the military. The Secretary of State already said, your time's up.
The gays or the transgenders? Because
All of them.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
So he's
you
getting rid of.
gay, No. Look, you want to be gay? You can't make no adjustments in the military for one person. You can't do that. So if you want to be gay, you be gay. But all it is changing the system.
Where'd you hear that?
It's over. From the Secretary of State.
Oh,
it's
really?
over. Yeah. This ain't no news feed. This is from the Secretary of State. That renaming of the ship. And as a matter of fact, you'll never see a ship or CVN named after Obama or Joe Biden. Those ship names are very important, and that's why the Harvey Milk thing is getting reversed. That's all I got for you today.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you, William. I appreciate your.
You're welcome, man, and try not to get lost, man, and leave our Black Fridays alone.
Yeah.
Nothing short of Mexicans. Nothing short of illegals rioting shall you replace our Black Friday with.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Nice. According to Google AI, the U.S. does not currently have a gay ban in place in the thing, but the Google AI is not reliable either, so I don't know. So-called sexual orientation. I don't even really want to know, actually. So you can look it up yourself. Oh, here, just let me briefly tell you this real quick, because although it's gross and wrong and stuff, in my opinion, I just want to point out that Bill Clinton signed a law, I guess, according to the far-left Wikipedia, not necessarily a reliable source, sometimes quite sloppy, actually. You kidding me? My goodness. And I didn't used to think that. But, yeah, I mean, it's not just that they only rely on the mainstream media, which is liberal extremely and dishonest in that way, but also any old person, for the most part, can edit some of this stuff, unless it's more tightly controlled. Some of these are better written than others. And so, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous sometimes, this stuff that I've read on Wikipedia. Okay, especially for, like, stuff that's not, like I said, tightly controlled. Bill Clinton signed that Don't Ask, Don't Tell thing, DADT, which allowed the morally wrong way of doing that stuff to go on in there, but they just don't talk about it, okay? And then Obama got rid of it, famously. He got rid of that. So Bill Clinton was wrong for allowing it, and then Obama was even wronger, if that's a word, for encouraging it. Not only can you get in there and just, as long as you don't talk about it, now you can talk about it. Not right. It's not right. And then you put the transgenders in there too. And then Trump took him out, or like said, no, you're not supposed to be in there. I don't know if his military people, his generals, enforced it. And then Biden brought them back, the transgenders back, because Biden is, he doesn't have any spine, we'll call it. He's a male Democrat, or was. I don't know what he is now. I say that because he's so old and out of it. Who knows? Maybe God worked on his heart. I say it somewhat facetiously, but Biden let it all back in. He pretended not to. He and Obama both pretended, and I do mean pretended, like they were for real, normal, traditional marriage, and then they switched because their house is built on sand, and they want to build America on sand as well, so that the wind and the waves and storms can wash America away, so that the communists can rebuild in their image, or whoever gains power, after they destroy America. They literally want to and do and participate in destroying America. And it's shocking to me, actually, that there's like Christian, decent men who think Obama was a good president because he kept his promises or something. I shake my head. But hey, we all believe crazy things, and we're all blind and out of it. So it's not an excuse for believing a lie and pushing a lie as a Christian and as a man, but it's just a touch, a hint, a taste perhaps of understanding, like a little bit of an attempt to refrain from judging, looking down on somebody who's could be as blind as to think that Obama was a good president. Oh my goodness. Terrible. Shout out. So, Obama, Biden, and then Trump, military, LGBTIQ agenda. Nice. Okay, before I get back to the calls, I have a little bit of... Oh, was I even showing it to you guys? Did I show that to you? I think I did. I have a little bit of news to get to, though. One of the things I mentioned, Greta Thunberg. Oh, let me show you the riots. Just a little bit. A few things on X, if you please. Hopefully there's no cussing here. Whoa, a bit loud. All right, let me turn this down. Cover your ears, kids. This may be. Let me just turn it kind of down quiet. So that, because we don't really have to listen. But look, a policeman like grabbed a woman, picked her up and got her out of the way. Nice. Is that wrong for me to enjoy seeing? Is that seditious or whatever? Whoa, see, somebody cussed. Okay, so that's a union guy, according to this post on X. A union activist got tackled and whatever. These gals, be quiet with your loud woman voices, shout out. Immature woman, by the way. Everybody watch, ICE is out of control, it says fight for a union or post fight for a union on X. Video of SEIU, Service Employees Something Union of California, SEIU of California's President David Huerta. 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 Getting assaulted and arrested. And they're complaining. And so this Scott, I don't want to say his last name, senator, I think he's a state senator. Is that too loud with the women yapping in the background? Women. Is there anything more obnoxious than a woman's voice? Sorry, ladies. I'm kidding. You can call me ladies. All your voices aren't annoying. Some voices sound great. But they're just yelling, and part of it is it's out of place because this is the riots, I guess, over the and protests. Protesters, every bit as stupid and unpeaceful. If you're protesting, you're not peaceful, okay? You don't have peace, generally. Maybe there's some people with peace who protest. JLP, perfect peace for 35 years, but he participated in protests. It was for the thrill, he says. He disavows it now. It was all ego, excitement. Kind of left over from his union days when he was a union pusher, communist. A tool of communism, basically. We're now seeing paramilitary ICE raids, says Scott Wiener. I didn't want to say his last name, but I have to because so that you know who I'm talking about. Not morally straight guy, I think, right? And he pushes that agenda, as I recall. Full-on military garb, military tanks, flashbang grenades. I feel like I like the women's voices in the background, actually. You add a hint of color, ladies, in the video here to my reporting. This is a core manifestation of fascism, which is a far left thing, I hear, according to Bill Lockwood. Some people disagree. Honorable men whom I have past and present, whom I have admired and respected, say it's not necessarily a leftist, but just because it's not communism. Using federal forces to put down dissent. It's not just dissent, it's law breaking, okay? It's not merely dissent. If you were actually, quote unquote, peacefully protesting, we would laugh and mock you as we are, but we wouldn't have to put the smack down. You know what I mean? If we don't stop this now, this is the future, says Senator Scott Wiener. Okay, so that's some guy complaining, Scott Wiener. Hate to use that name, pardon me, but it's his name. And let's be mature. Mayor Karen Bass, Mayor S. How embarrassing, huh? Anytime you want to make fun of Hake, be like, you got this gal for a mayor. How embarrassing. Lord have mercy. And I will be embarrassed, and I will say, uncle, and surrender. You win the argument automatically. This morning, we received reports of federal immigration enforcement. This is yesterday, I guess, that she posted. 2 days ago? 3 days ago? Something like that. Friday? June 6th, was that Friday? Mayor Karen Bass. Immigration enforcement actions in multiple locations in L.A. as a mayor of a proud city of immigrants. She, too, is she a communist, or did she used to be a communist? I mean that she considered herself. Did she ever consider herself that? I consider her that, but I use the term, as you know, all the time about everything. And I think I'm right. I am deeply angered, she says. Of course you are. And she claims that she's angered by what? By what has taken place. No, that's not the source. You're not. These tactics sow terror in our communities and disrupt basic principles of safety in our city. What a joke, huh? My office is in close coordination with immigration rights community organizations, which are enemies of America. We will not stand for this, Mayor S. Karen Bass. How embarrassing, huh? Ooh, terrible. Ridiculous. What else is going on in the world? Somebody else. Oh, Cernovich posted this. I've been kind of saying, oh, you know what, I like Thomas Massie. Whose side do I take? Is he right or wrong against Trump? And I sometimes think he's right against Trump, even though I like Trump. You know, if you were to force me to choose sides, I would go with Trump, even though Massie might be right about, specific things against what Trump is for in certain instances, right? But Thomas Massie posts, I condemn violence in L.A., not Louisiana, Los Angeles. And I support a strong border and agree as strongly. I agree strongly with deporting criminals. And journalist, I don't know what you call him. Freedom fighter. America, the bird, bald eagle. Looks like he's calling himself a freedom fighter. So I consider him like a center-left, pro-America guy. Cernovich. People think he's right-wing. I don't know what he thinks he is. Maybe calls himself new right. But shout out to him. He's like a sort of a journalist. Except honest. Fairly honest, right? Cernovich. Mike Cernovich. Notice the wording. He doesn't support deporting illegal immigrants. Or at least he doesn't say he supports deporting illegal immigrants in this post. Because he says, agree strongly with deporting criminals. Said Thomas Massie. And he calls some guy a party hack. A hack for a political party, I guess. Referring to this guy, Rolando Garcia. As you watch the chaos in L.A., remember Rand Paul and Thomas Massie want to spend less on border security and immigration enforcement. Open borders libertarians. Is that what Massie is? A libertarian? Libertarians the sensible libertarians know that you have to have the government to enforce the border laws if you have a welfare state, which we have. I learned this from another guy who used to be a libertarian. That black guy who ran for governor. But open borders libertarians in the GOP were once a tolerable nuisance. Now they're a dangerous menace, said Rolando Garcia, who, a state Republican executive committeeman, Texas GOP, volunteer grassroots activist, blah, 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 blah. And whatever that guy is. I wasn't familiar with him, but Thomas Massie calls him a hack, a political hack. Typical. Wow. Because he got criticized, Thomas Massie, and Rand Paul got criticized for not supporting the big, beautiful bill, which included some strong funding for the border and immigration enforcement, I hear. So that's interesting. Yeah, what's more important? Not getting further in debt, which we're just endlessly doing, always getting further and further in debt, I mean. And, or getting a hold of our immigration, where we have people in America who do not belong in America nor have American values. Unlike Stephen Miller, my sixth favorite Jew? Shout out. I love the Jews. If I love anybody. Look how dishonest this post is, says Stephen Miller, who's in the Trump administration. He's a bald guy, a little bit younger than me, married, slim guy, radical, from like Santa Monica or somewhere, Beverly Hills maybe, or something like that. He used to be a liberal like many Jews, and then he read Guns and Ammo magazine and became pro-America and conservative. He used to talk with that black libertarian radio host, whom I mentioned. Friend of Jesse Lee, that radio host. You know what I mean? Blanking on his name. It's all right. The only new spending in the tax cut bill is Homeland Defense and Security. Oh yeah, military spending, right? Offset by new fees on foreigners. The only consequential spending provisions are the more than $1.6 trillion spending cut, ending benefits for illegals and welfare work requirements. And so he's calling Rand Paul dishonest. Stephen Miller is calling Rand Paul dishonest. Stephen Miller of the Trump administration, and Rand Paul, sort of a libertarian, lawbertarian type of Republican or Republicant.
Affairs Committee, Senator Rand Paul. Senator, good to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Your reaction to...
This is one gal's voice whom I like her voice. This is a gal, a competitor on Fox News. She's like Italian. Beautiful woman.
What you just heard from Caroline Leavitt in terms of the savings that this
Maria
bill
Bartiromo
brings about.
Oh, this is too long.
Well, I think to put it in perspective, most people estimate that over the next 10 years, the United States will add about $2 trillion a year, $20 trillion in debt.
What would Ron Paul do? WWRP do, as opposed to Rand Paul, the son? Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky, a senator. He got tackled by his neighbor, I think. Something like that.
The savings, if you don't think the taxes or the tax cuts will cause a reduction in revenue, which I can accept that, and you say, well, the spending cuts are $1.5 trillion, that means instead of borrowing $20 trillion, we'd borrow $18.5 trillion.
Whatever. Anyway, so he's being called dishonest. He said the spending bill who called it dishonest? Stephen Miller called Rand Paul being dishonest in his post. The spending proposed, that was a little bit black how I said that. Spending proposed in this bill is unsustainable. We cannot continue spending at these levels if we truly want to tackle our debt. I guess I sort of combined this spending bill in with the riots. So it's all, I combine it because it's kind of all about the immigration situation. Sort of interesting, huh? Lamos. Is Rand Paul and Thomas Massie, are they being lamos? Are they RINOs? I kind of like them sometimes. You know what I mean? But hey, just because you like somebody doesn't mean they're not wrong. Doesn't mean they're not weak and evil and liars and dishonest. Let God be true and every man a liar. Real quick, and then I will get to your calls. I want to cover this guy talking about hate. It's pretty interesting. By the way, this is kind of infuriating. Look at this video, real quick. This is on IG, I saw, okay? So hopefully this is not too blasting of your ears, and hopefully there's not too much cussing. You know how I have this fatigue? Some might call it black, because my heart is black, it's dark. Only a dark heart can be fatigued, right? But look at these guys. Shall I? Where's the audio? Oh, do I have it muted? Let me see. Let me bring this over here so I can see. I wonder why there's no audio. Do I still have audio? But anyway, there's this black guy, couple of black young men. They may not even be full-grown men. One is really dark, shout out. But they're pulling off, here, let me just make sure that I have. I don't want to be. Yeah, there's audio here, but. Unmute the tab. What's that? Unmute the tab. Yeah, how do I, let me pull it over here again. I think it's unmuted. It is unmuted, you think? Let's see, mute site, nope.
Check if the video is a little, Instagram videos have a little.
Yeah, I unmuted the video, but it's still not doing anything. Supposedly. It's not real important, actually, but Instagram, site settings.
Video might not have sound.
Audio. It's supposed to. Oh. It's clearly supposed to. But anyway, I'm just going to have to move on, but figure it out another time, I think. The main point, because it's some PragerU video. This is a PragerU. I got this from PragerU on X. Look, Long Beach Ross. This guy's like ripping off, literally ripping, pulling purses. These black dudes, young men with wild hair. Kind of stylish, actually. It's not the worst black style hair that I've seen. I wouldn't necessarily think he's a bad dude. But they're just stealing purses out of a store. Out of a Ross. Ross is like kind of secondhand-ish. It's like the rejects. Pull up your pants, by the way, man. Long Beach. Once it was Strong Beach. And just brazenly, not even wearing a mask. One guy has his hood on, but they're not even covering their face. Granted, their faces are pretty dark. You can't necessarily see their features that well. But because, you know, they have black skin, shout out. But brazen. Brazen is a good word for it. And they're advocating for longer prison sentences, which may help. Yeah? You know, I saw this billboard that said, crime doesn't pay in Los Angeles County, which sounded kind of like, look at that. Isn't that kind of infuriating to see that? It's terrible. He's ripping it off the rack. It's not right. I guess it's just how they was raised, to put it in a black vernacular. Not right. They weren't raised well. Those two young men, look, strapping young lads, they don't have to be like that. You don't have to be like that, guys. Weak. You think that'll convince them to repent? It's not right. So, FYI, just a little side note on those stealing from a Ross. And then there's this guy, Richard Hanania. Before I get to that, let me just make sure that I have these notes down properly. Told you about the riots, immigration, Massie, and Rand Paul. Ron Paul guys do not like Rand Paul as well as they like Ron Paul, FYI. Stealing from a Ross, that's not right. It's ridiculous. Before I get to the Richard Hanania, who's, I may not even get to him actually, but he said some stuff that kind of interested me. I'll put it that way. Just summarizing what's going on. Maybe Richard Hanania. Maybe I'll get to him because he's accusing I mentioned it kind of at the beginning of the show, how this guy is accusing the right-wingers of hating. Did I mention that? And I take it, it's as if that's a point kind of thing. It might kind of be a point. I'm a little torn about it. And I don't really want to fight on the internet with him. Not that he would see my post necessarily, but it's kind of like as if he doesn't hate too. He thinks that he used to be a pro-white type of a writer, this Richard Hanania guy. I'm kind of getting into this a little bit. But I think he's not like a normal white, I don't think he's Christian. And he falls for different intellectual arguments. Put it that way. And so he used to be kind of pro-white, which is not necessarily right. And then he's kind of gone anti-pro-white, if you will. He's kind of a hit or miss type of a journalist guy. Richard Hanania. So I may talk about him a little bit. But I want to get to some calls here. If you don't mind, I'm at the top of the hour. And I also have to get to the super chats. Because we're at the top of this beginning of this second hour coming up shortly. And I don't like to be remiss. Commander Kim, was that Commander Kim who gave me a Rumble rant? Yeah, Hake, you're all we have. Since I'm reading from my screen here in front of me that you can't see, I'll put myself large. Hake, you're all we have if you don't witness us in chat. Reference to Mad Max. Is that movie with that guy with the who I look sort of like him? They say my mailman when I was younger said I looked like that guy from like Lethal Weapon. 80s action star. 80s movie action star. Mel Gibson. Then we're gonna cry like a Mexican being told to roll down the window after being stopped by ICE. I'm gonna call Donald Trump on you. This black lady. I saw this funny post on X. It was a short video. This guy, I guess presumably Latino, rolls down his window, recording with his phone in portrait mode on this Altima maybe or something, some car, sedan. And this portly black lady shouting at him, I'm going to call Donald Trump on you, you illegal mother beeper. Ladies. I can't help but chuckle at just sort of a cute thing. Because, I share her malice towards the illegals a little bit. I like illegals, but also it's not right, And when something is not right, you judge something is not right, you hate it a little bit. You hate them. And so it's funny. And she's going to call Trump. Okay. Right on, Commander Kim. Thank you. Terrible. Appreciate it. Illegal M blank. Okay, and then over here on... What? I guess I had a couple of a few super chats came in. Okay, thank you guys for your coffees. Little Rock It Man. I don't know if he minds my calling him that. And Cesar and somebody else. Who's this? Kevin. A different Kevin from the How. Cesar 5 Coffee Sup, Hake. First time that I actually podcast your show over the weekend. And man, I'm really glad I made that choice since that Hake report from Friday was on fire. Jesse voice. That's not really a Jesse impression to say it like that. Ronnie mentioned a few successful black empires, which I quickly looked up using Deep Search Grok and was amazed and went down the rabbit hole and learned a lot more. Thanks, Ronnie. Right on. Yeah. Yep. Nice. Cool. But Mark, shame on you, man. You let your emotions make a dumb assumption. I thought you were more intelligent than that. You're literally becoming what you hate, like Jesse always says. I can't respect anyone who lets their emotions' ego cloud their judgment. You are no longer my favorite caller. Not that you care, LOL, says Cesar. Wow, shots fired. Constructive criticism, he means it as, I guess. CJ, you're on your way to replace Mark as a favorite caller of mine, says Cesar, Caesar. I love the helpful gems you dropped toward the end of your call from that day. You, sir, are very informative and intellectual. I can always respect that. Sorry for the long coffee. Hey, laughing, sweaty. Right on, Cesar. Caesar. Cesar. Destroy all evil, Kevin. Bought a coffee. Hake, I catch your show every now and then. Sometimes your views confuse me. Do you wish for America to be an only white country, or are you fine with multiculturalism? Oh, man. Never let them control you, brother. Pointing at me emoji with a white, perhaps slightly tanned white hand. Don't be afraid to say, white power. Waving emoji. I'm waving. That was not a salute. I mean, it kind of was, but it was mocking. It was, anyway, disavow. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, so majority white is what I would like. But that's already gone. So what does it matter? What does it matter what I wish, honestly? What does it even matter? But yeah, I like my friends, you know? I was raised in this this Hispanic and Asian area, in this diversity. And I see through it. I see through the fake racism stuff. I realize that the whites are a little bit more like, palatable for my tastes, for my country, for my neighborhoods. Because these Asians, although they're law-abiding on the outside, perhaps, supposedly, they turn Arcadia into a bunch of McMansions, like little palaces with no yards, and it's like 2-story or taller. It's ridiculous. We don't like that. It's not right. Leave it. Granted, we built like these tract homes after we, being America, built these tract homes for the GIs or whatever after the World War II, which I don't support that necessarily, but you could at least see the mountains and stuff. But now it's like these little palaces that don't fit with the neighborhood, and then they transform the whole neighborhood to be like that, and it's, what a shame. So even the Asians don't really have the same values. They're more like I don't know. So some of you whites are like, oh, Asians are okay. No, and I like Asians. I like my Asian friends and my Latino friends, ghetto as they are. I'm ghetto too. Terrible. You become your environment. So I am fine. I have to be fine. I don't have a choice but to be fine with the multiculturalism, but I see that it's wrong. I don't fall for that fake racism mess that the boomers fell for. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. So to answer your question, I wish for America to be majority white. It's better for everybody. Little Rock, it man, I call him, because he's from Little Rock. Okay, James, eye roll. Look, something emoji. Yawning? Or I think he's ing. You specifically said thank you to Popcorn and Ronnie though, and then you backtrack. CJ was so boring. And I guess somebody was trying to bait me, but let's remember he disrespects a black woman all the time. So that lets you know what type of man he is. That's an alpha man. Kidding around. Okay, I call people out and yet they are afraid ever to address me. Mainly because you protected them too often. Hashtag mama. Hey. It's catching, so you believe that there's such a thing as being mama. Hey. And what are these riots about? I was celebrating false pride. He doesn't call it false, but it's what it is. All weekend, so I didn't look at the news at all. James, real talk, you're a presenter in the public eye, so you invite scrutiny and criticism. It might be different because it's me, an adversary, but even your fans criticize you, quote unquote. That being said, Christ can't be that important to you. What? Do you ever wonder if he will say to you, depart from me, I never knew you? I'm not God, but it seems your life is headed if you don't change. Toodles, James. Thank you, man. Toodaloo. Toodaloo. What a mess. Not very pithy, but thank you. Thank you kindly. Yeah, I was talking about you being like a woman, comparing how I thanked Popcorn and somebody else for their super, but not you. But I thank everybody. Coffee talk. Do we have to be mature? Do we have to be mature? Just kidding. Thank you. Coffee talk with Sandra over on pilled.net/The Hake Report. That's awesome. Appreciate all the support, guys. Okay. Elijah is in America. Believe it or not. What's up, Elijah? Elijah?
Good morning, Hake.
Morning. How do I pronounce your name, or how do you pronounce your name?
Elijah, but
Elijah.
People just call me Eli.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, man. Just when we thought we had black fatigue, the Mexicans go, "I wait, hold my cerveza."
Why do you have to say it gay like that? That's funny.
Oh, because sometimes they have that whiny voice. You know?
Totally. Shout out. What a mess.
They're always asking a question for every statement.
Indeed.
But yeah, what a mess, man. You can see LA. It's the same thing like with South Africa. You know, whites create a thriving, beautiful society. Everyone thinks that it's like their right to have access to it after that.
Yeah.
And then they end up destroying it. Just like with the the whites in South Africa, there was barely anyone even there.
Right.
The whites create a beautiful, thriving society. All the blacks be like, damn, that lives good. Let me get some of that. And they go move in. And they get jealous because the whites, you know, they're thriving, but everyone else is thriving as well, right? But they're mad because they're at the top because, you know, that's just the way we do.
Right.
Everywhere around the world. And then they always get jealous and say, give me some of that, you know, and they end up biting the mouth that feeds them. They destroy it. They cry racism.
Totally.
They say, oh, whites only have more because racism or slavery. And the Bible never mentions like the races being equal. I remember one of your callers called. He was pretty good. He made a point about gold being taken off the gold standard. That was like one of his few points, but
okay.
He says God says we're equal in the Bible. It does not say that. God actually destroyed Babylon because of multiculturalism. He divided the races with Babylon and divided their tongues, divided the people.
Oh, the Tower of Babel. Is that Babylon or is that the Tower of Babel?
Yeah, Babylon was like the first one world government. And Nimrod was like the first Antichrist. He wanted to be above God. And Nimrod was thought to be 1/3 human, like a fallen angel, Nephilim.
Oh.
So that's the mark of the beast, basically 666. That'd be his base. The other part of his DNA would be 66.6%. That's, I mean,
Where'd you get that? Where'd you hear that?
That's hypothetical, but
So that's what
neither
somebody
here nor there.
speculates about
Well,
what's written in the
I
Bible?
know for sure the Freemasons, they have their 33 degree because of the 1/3 of the fallen angels
Oh,
that fell from
Really?
heaven and gave knowledge to man. Yeah, it's discussed in like other books that were taken out of the Bible, like the Book of Enoch. But I mean, the Book of Enoch is still in the Bible in Ethiopia. But
I don't
Yeah,
know anything about this stuff.
the elites know that multiculturalism is a mistake and a disaster. It's just easier for them to
Use the multiculturals.
gather all the power and have all these factions
Yeah.
fighting amongst each other while they have it all. You know, they push diversity, but in their country, in the Middle East, it's not very diverse. So it's kind of a game. They push open borders for us, but their borders have turrets and cameras on them. You know, if a rat goes up to the border, they'll know in Israel. But those same
That's
NGOs, they push open borders for us. It's crazy. Yeah.
That's that's one of the things that I question about the
You actually have to prove your DNA, I think. You have
nice.
to take a DNA test to be a citizen in Israel.
Yeah.
You know, but then they say, we're so racist because we want to be majority white. Come on.
So
Why would you not? Even if I was not, you know, I would, just being a person with common sense, you want the country to be majority white. Because then you and your kids are going to do better than if it was like Brazil, which is what they're pushing us to be, is something like Brazil, some kind of hodgepodge mess, no identity. Like, what is the melting pot? Like, what are we melting into? America has no identity anymore.
Yeah. Kind of like
I miss
Rome.
my America. Yeah, it's all. I mean, the timeline is cyclical. It always, ends up repeating.
I have a question. Do you know? Do you think of Bibi Netanyahu as being for this self-destruction of America?
Well, he was caught on camera bragging about how Israel can do whatever they want, and they're always going to have America's loyalty.
Right.
He leaked that out in a video.
But
and he's
I'm talking about
it's
the
ridiculous.
Yeah, I
Almost.
remember
They mock us.
Right, but
They mock
I'm asking you about the multicultural self-destruction agenda.
Oh, I don't know if Bibi has praised multiculturalism, but I know there's multiple rabbis and Jews that say that it's good for them because, like in Germany, if it's just them and the Germans, they're the other. It's the Germans and the Jews, the French and the Jews. But if you bring in these Haitians and Somalians and Venezuelans,
that's the idea.
Then it's not. Then they're able to. They're like shapeshifters.
They fly more under the radar.
They call them fellow whites. Yeah,
right.
That's how they're able. That's how they're able to
we need
sneak
to
their
be,
way to power.
We need to be less
we need
racist.
to be like the J Boys.
No, I'm saying I'm imitating some of the Jewish people who say, as a white person, we need to be less racist. We need to be better.
Yeah, fellow whites, we need to give up our power.
But
we are too disproportionately, But they will never. They're the ones that talk about having more, being more equally, in media, they're like what 90% of the CEOs and the anchors, but they talk about how everyone should be equally represented, but it doesn't go for them.
I want to ask you, what was I going to ask you? Oh, don't you think that there's got to be some sensible Jews out there, such as maybe Bibi, who
Bibi. He's from Poland, isn't he? Isn't his last name real last name was Gausowitz?
Maybe.
I think all the prime ministers, their last names are Eastern European, but they changed their last names to sound more Semitic.
Oh, clever.
But that's typical. When they came to America, they tried to sound more like Lost.
You would think.
A lot of them
you would think
name
that
were like Green or Miller. It's really Greenstein or Millerwitz.
So Stephen Miller, is he among your top favorite Jews like he is mine?
He's not on my top worst.
Nice.
I don't know. I'd say he's
one of the good ones.
Yeah, I do like when he gets a little, when he acts like he's a fellow white and he gets a little racist. That's when it's kind of fun to listen to. But then I know he's just really being a sneakster.
I mean, that's human nature. Nobody's
his own agenda.
Yeah,
but
everybody's
yeah,
for
the
themselves.
whites are learning from the Jews because look how much power they've accumulated.
Totally.
They didn't accumulate it by being individuals. They accumulated it by having racial unity.
The reason I ask about
only works for the whites.
The reason I ask about sensible Jews is there's got to they have to realize that if they get America to where it self-destructs, then it's not going to be good for anybody, including them.
Well, that's why they're building up Israel, are they not? Isn't Israel becoming more powerful while America's collapsing?
I don't know. It feels like the world is. It feels like the world is turning against Israel because of all this multiculturalism stuff in America is turning both the whites against America, and then all these others are naturally not friendly towards Israel, and so Israel is turning America. I mean, a lot of the Jewish liberals are turning America into enemies of Israel. I guess because the Jewish liberals are enemies of Israel too. Honestly. It's kind of like
I mean, they have the same end goal, which is like total domination from Jerusalem when their Mashiach returns. They call him the Mashiach in the Bible.
The
it's
Messiah?
really Antichrist.
Oh, okay.
But they thrive off of being the victims. That's the thing. The big J's want the little J's to stay paranoid.
It's like a woman. She's never happy.
Well, yeah. The Jews, they go. They're matriarchal.
Yeah.
If you want to be a Jew, they go. It's based off of the woman.
That's how the whole world is becoming too. Thanks a lot.
Jay's got the mama spirit. They always go, "Oy vey, everyone's trying to get me."
You sound Hispanic right now.
Anything wrong?
I thought it was. I thought it was. I thought they were pronouncing it wrong. I mean, spelling it wrong.
Oh, Juan goes way,
right?
And Moshe goes oy vey.
Are you part Hispanic, or were you raised around Hispanics?
No, I was raised in Los Angeles, but my dad is.
Because you sound a little bit like a beaner.
Myself, but no, I'm not a beaner.
Okay. Because you sound a little bit.
No,
like
I have zero Hispanic blood, but I eat a lot of tacos. Maybe that's it, and I like.
No, I think you were raised a little bit around them, so that's why your accent is a little bit like that.
Yeah, but the beaners call me white boy. When I was growing up, all the Mexicans knew when we were children, there was no race thing, but as we got older, they'd be like,
"Yeah,
you're a white boy."
Exactly, same thing with me.
With their kind of accent.
Yep, that's interesting, man. You didn't want to dox yourself, but what did you mention about your dad? If you don't mind repeating it.
Oh well, he's not. He's part Portuguese, part.
Okay.
So I'll tell you that much.
Right on. It's a great call, man. Very interesting. Elijah.
Yeah.
Eli.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Good to hear.
Thank you, Hake. Yeah, I think that's where the blacks they learned how to play the victim and get what they want from Whitey, from the J Boys, the ones that brought him here.
You think so?
Yeah, that's like the blueprint. Like the word racism has done more destruction than any standing army could ever do.
Totally, man. I'm with you on that.
To the West.
Yeah, the fake because people believed it.
Very powerful word, very powerful thing with the white guilt. Like imagine if Jews had Jew guilt and whites had the same pride that Jews had.
In power by intimidation only, and emotion only.
Well, it's also in that book, The Art of War.
Oh.
Talks about playing the victim when you're powerful.
Yeah.
And when you're weak, play the power game.
Clever.
So, yeah.
Thank you, man.
They're very good with psychology. I'll give them that.
Indeed.
Look at Sigmund Freud. All right, Hake.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Very interesting. Shout out. Aaron. I got to get to Aaron in Maryland, who's on the line over here. Aaron, thank you for calling and holding, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm chilling. How are you?
I'm well. I'm
nice.
fine.
But
I don't know if I'm
chilling,
well.
though?
Yeah, I am.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wanted to call you about, you said before, I think you said, is this true that you said that you ride horses?
I have ridden horses before. I don't ride horses, but what makes you bring that up?
because that's so dope. That's so cool to like ride an animal. I was just I don't know why. Isn't that so weird that like resonated, like stuck
Yeah.
with me that I heard that.
That is
But yeah, I
interesting.
wanted to call you. I've always wanted to call you about it, and then today I was like, oh yeah, today's the day. So I want to talk to you about that.
Sounds good. What'd you want to say
So-
about riding horses?
What's that about, man? Why'd you ride horses? Why'd you do that?
I was a kid at summer camp, Christian summer camp, and they had horses. And so we went horseback riding, and I got to I even got to gallop a little bit, make the horse gallop a bit. At least to me, it was a gallop. I don't know if it was an actual gallop. Maybe it was more like trotting, but it was it was kind of a gallop, I think. And then
I don't know.
I'm all talking out of both sides of my mouth. And then the other year, a buddy of mine, just outside of Vegas, there was another like little horseback tour of like Red Rock Canyon or something, and that was cool. So yeah, it's fun. It's so high up. Oof. I'm glad I didn't fall off the horse.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad you didn't fall off.
Yeah.
What's the deal with like when you're riding a horse? I've only ridden cars and bikes.
Okay.
And so like I can mechanically control it with my body. I'm like, okay, car go.
Right.
Car stop.
Yeah.
But like a horse has like a horse wants to do its own thing, you know?
You know, I don't know how they learn to do this, but they must be trained to, when you kick them a bit, you like dig your heels a little bit, and it kind of gets them to walk. And then when you pull back on the reins, it gets them to brake, to like slow down or stop. And then when you pull the reins to one side or you pull the reins to the other, it gets them to turn. And so that's basically all you need. And so it kind of works for me. I've never had to break a horse's spirit where, you know, they're wild and you have to like kind of control them. But I hear that that's what they have to do, is because they're naturally a little bit wild, and then you have to break their spirit. And
wow.
And
bro, that's terrible.
That's what they call it.
That sounds terrible.
I think that's what they call it. Yeah, but that's
like,
what you got to do. It's like a manly world, you know. It's a man's world. We have domination.
See it that way?
What's that?
I think you're right. Yeah, no, I think it's beta of me to feel like, oh man.
It's kind of like what you got to do when you're a husband to a wife.
Oh,
you know, they call it animal husbandry. I've made this point a few times now. I get a real kick out of it. Breaking a horse's spirit refers to training a horse to be ridden, which involves getting them used to tack, whatever that is, and carrying a rider.
I get it.
Removing undesirable habits.
Ego.
Yeah, because the horse wants to do what it wants to do. It's kind of like, Paul, why do you kick against the pricks, the goads? It's so troublesome for you.
Yeah.
What Jesus supposedly said to Paul per the Bible. Nice.
Dang, so you got to break your wife's spirit.
Yeah, exactly. You got to break her spirit because she's all full of ego, you know? You got to break that false self. I mean, it's not that you have to, but it's kind. Kind of liken it to that because when you feed her ego and when you're feeding your own ego on her and you're feeding her ego to feed your own ego, that's not right. You're turning her out of control. It drives them nuts. And so
100%, yeah. And it's the same way. Like when a woman starts like kicking and screaming and like yelling and then like crying, being emotional 1 second, like you're like, whoa, Nelly. Whoa,
that's right. Exactly. Whoa,
Slow down.
Easy, girl.
Easy now.
And she's
easy. Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That makes sense. Because when I was thinking of it, I was like, you're sitting on an animal.
Right.
That's like wild.
Yeah, and it kind of goes like it sort of, you can feel its shoulders, if you will, kind of going up and down, and you're kind of going up and down on one side or the other with it. It's kind of interesting.
You know, in Eritrea, they ride camels. They have camels over there.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's really wild because the camels have this weird mechanical way of laying down for you so you can climb them. Because you can't climb up on a camel.
They're
It's too
super
high
tall,
up.
huh? They're even
Yeah, so
taller
they,
than
like,
horses, huh?
Way taller, yeah. And then they
Wow.
disengage and like they lean forward really hard, and then
Whoa.
they buckle those first two
Okay.
legs, and then they lean back and buckle those back legs, and then they're just like fully like on kneeling basically.
Yeah.
And then you
their-
climb
their
on,
knees.
yeah, and then when they get up that like weird way where it like bucks forward first, really
Wow.
sharply, and
Uh-huh.
it bucks back again. Yeah.
That's
And
so
then
you've
camels
done
are
it.
slow though. Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, I've been on
Oh,
a
so
camel.
then
Yeah.
what are you asking me about riding a horse? It's like you've ridden way more like crazy of an animal kind of. So
Yeah,
do you,
I just realized that as I was telling you that.
that's
by the way.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
do you
hilarious.
did you feel its shoulders kind of going kind of side up and down, on one side going up, the other side going kind of down, or do you not feel that at all?
Not at all, because the humps, you're like on these like really massive humps,
Yeah.
and then you're like really distant from those sockets, I guess, below.
Oh, okay, that makes
So-
sense. You're further back.
But I've never ridden it. So here's the thing, though. With the camel, I never ridden it where I was in control of it. It was somebody else guiding it, like pulling it.
Oh.
And so maybe that's the difference in the horse is like, with the horse, it's like you and the horse, and you guys are like riding. Like you're like, yo, turn this way. And then it turns that
Wow.
way. And you're like,
Yeah.
go faster. It goes faster. And it's like, hey, slow down. And it slows down. That's weird. But like
That
a
is.
camel, I was a child and I didn't really have any control over it. I wasn't like dominating it, I was
Yeah.
just kind of along for the ride. Whatever the camel wanted to do, I was down for it. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Cool.
Eritrea.
I
that's
got another
cool.
random question.
Okay.
I got another random question while I was talking to you. I just thought of.
Okay.
Do you want kids? It's so random, right?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's too personal.
I don't know. You're fine. I don't know if
Okay.
I want kids or not. I like kids are awesome, man, because they're
Right?
like more. They're a little bit more real, usually, and
I mean, they
honest
turn into adults now.
and kind of free.
You know?
Yeah, they do turn dark pretty quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember watching my little brother turn from like free to like kind of dark. You know how all adolescent kids kind of turn a little dark.
Totally.
And so I remember seeing that happen. Like he had this free laugh, and then it became kind of quiet. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know if I want them or not. I'm not
I see
necessarily against. I don't have a mindset against it necessarily, but
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I would like to have like a village of children, like as many kids as possible. Isn't
Wow.
that so weird? And
Yeah.
they're so like costly, and then they're so messy and all that.
Yeah.
But I can see like clearly, like I would love to have like a full. I would like to have a plantation of children.
I what I liked about my childhood was that we could take care of ourselves, and kind of.
Oh yeah.
And the older kids can kind of look after the younger kids, or at least kind of be the responsible one if the parents leave for a bit, for the
Yeah.
night or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the kids kind of raise themselves, sort of, or it doesn't really
Yeah,
take
I know.
much, at
Yeah.
least at least as far as I perceive, having been a kid and stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I see it the same way too. I'd probably try to make a couple bucks off my kids before they become adults.
Right. Yeah.
You
That's
know?
another thing that I really, the kids can help out.
Absolutely, yeah. Why not?
Although they probably limited in how much they help, but as they get older and older and more competent, you can get some good work out of them. My dad had us
I think so.
helping
Yeah.
with like the lawn, the brush, the ivy, the roof, the additions that he did on the house, adding on construction type stuff and tearing stuff up, and we all had like different chores and summer jobs, if you will, working at the house and the yard and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, I didn't get that kind of experience. My parents were split, but my father had his own business, and I just remember whenever I went to go visit him, I had this natural urge to like support my father's business in any way. I'd like clean up trash.
Nice.
I'd like beg him to do work. Yeah, and I didn't even care about pay. None of that. It's like, bro, it's my dad. I wanna put myself to use.
Yeah.
It's like a natural. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I feel like my kids would probably have that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all, man. Some random questions for you today. Thanks
right
for
on,
taking
man.
my call.
It's good hearing from you. Appreciate that. That's
yeah,
fun.
You too.
All right.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Aaron in Maryland. Wow. Okay. I'm at the bottom of the hour. I have set the redirect to Joel Friday TV, but there is no Joel Friday show today. Okay. So you're gonna get transferred over there after my show ends. FYI. But no Joel Friday today. Okay. He's not going on air today. All right. He's fine. He's fine. He's here. But no Joel Friday TV, FYI. What's up, Creighton? I keep on wanting to call you Crichton. Children are to be seen and not heard, he says. Just reading the chat a little bit. Nice. What's up, man? Creighton is how it's pronounced. Commander Kim. Dustin. Dolphin Spirit 22. Kids are nice until they develop a dominant ego. Kind of like women, huh? I guess you kind of create them. It's your fault. WT1, I don't know if you're still there, but nice to see you. Shout out, Coffee Talk, and Twin Crier over on Pilled. Kia Simone. Hey. Hey. Nice to see you, man. Elijah. Props, man. Babies aren't expensive, he says. I heard that from Real Vincent James. Said that, and he has kids, right? He has children. By kids, we mean children, right? Not baby goats. He said the same thing, you know, because people say, oh, you have to have a lot of money, be able to make a lot of money to have kids. And he says kids are not that expensive. So you've heard it from two. Granted, they are capable men, and if you're not a capable man, then it can feel expensive, I suppose. Nice. Let me double check on it for any more coffees before I get back to you guys, you callers. I guess I won't get to Richard Hanania, but I mentioned that thing about him. Kind of a intellectual guy. I find him interesting. You may differ. Mark in Los Angeles, California. Thank you for holding, Mark. What's up?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hake, I want to ask you, do you believe that critical race theory has poisoned our social media, poisoned our history books, and basically poisoned our whole society? Do you agree with that?
I do. I don't
then
call it by that.
Why would you believe Satan's boy, CJ, he's a devil worshiper. I want to point that out.
No, that's not right.
Yeah,
to be accusing
I'll
him.
back it up, too. I'll back it up if you give me a chance.
Well,
okay,
I don't need you to prove anything
he calls
about
me
him.
every name in the book, and you don't say a word.
He doesn't call you
I'm
every name.
I'm not name calling. I'm fact-splaining.
Well, we don't need your fact-splaining. I don't like facts.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, well, let me get to my point, please.
Yeah, because get to a real point, not attack fellow caller point.
Oh, well, he attacks me constantly.
I know, but you got it. But you're a grown man, and he's a young man, and so
yeah, he's just a little sissy living in mom's.
I gotta go, Mark.
No, I got a point to make. Please let me make it.
Okay, well then cut out the personal attacks.
You got it.
Thank you.
Okay, the lie about. First of all, I wanted to ask you this question. You just answered in the affirmative.
Right.
CRT has infiltrated our schools. It's infiltrated our social media.
Yeah.
You've just conceded that.
Yes.
If you believe that a place called Kush existed, I listened to that guy's fairy tale on Friday. He totally disregarded Toynbee. Arnold Toynbee, the greatest historian in world history, is not to be believed. But some creep that calls your phone and tells you a bunch of fairy tales.
No, but he told me about Herodotus. Herodotus. I've heard of Herodotus.
So what?
He's also a very famous historian, Greek, by the way.
Not better than Toynbee. Toynbee documented and specifically stated to this day, I don't know the numbers, but a certain number of civilizations were created by the white man. I told you.
How do you spell Toynbee?
I think it's Toynsbee. Arnold's the first name. Okay. This Kush thing is a type of drug they smoke. It's not a country. It may be something now.
No, it
what
used to
happened
be a country,
to it?
man.
Fall apart? You seem to believe Satan's lies. There was no Ronnie. I hope you're listening.
But that's not
This
multiculturalism.
is all critical race theory. It's all critical race theory. It's a lie propagated on your air, and you fell for it. You and Caesar.
I do.
While Ronnie is a black
fall
nationalist, could lie to him, and he'll accept it as truth. Okay, am I on?
You're on. Yeah.
Okay. There were no black civilizations in world history. If they were, let's see some evidence. Not a sheet from CRT that our little friend in Washington read to you. And I notice when he's on the air with you, you never refute anything he says.
Because I can't. I don't know.
Anytime that little jerk wants to talk to me, put him on. He's not going to give you the 150 because he's a liar.
No,
he lied about Toynbee.
Okay, all right. We get it.
No, but he lied about it. He lied about Toynbee, and he also
didn't lie about
it.
He just mocked him a little bit as not.
All he said was no, he's not the greatest. And you accepted that little weasel's explanation.
I accept it as his opinion. I don't say that it's necessarily right or wrong, but nice. Just to clarify.
Well, okay, then you seemed, from a statement that you made earlier, it sounded to me like you did believe Ronnie, his fairy tale.
I didn't believe Ronnie, but I believed CJ. Because Ronnie, he's into the black thing, but CJ is not into the black thing.
Well, I doubt that. I doubt that.
Oh, trust me, man.
No, if he lies...
You don't have to believe me, but I know you're not going to convince me that CJ is into the black thing at all.
I didn't say that he was necessarily.
Yeah, okay.
That doesn't mean he's a good person.
But anyway, whatever. Anyway, moving on from the
No, I know. I'm not going to even mention him. Yeah. Just remember, those civilizations are created by CRT. What's his name? Abraham something. I forgot his name. Abraham X. These fairy tales were invented by him so guys like Ronnie could feel good about themselves. It makes black people feel good about themselves.
But why do you care if
you and Caesar, for example, I hope he comes back. He says I'm no longer his favorite.
Right.
And the jerk is. Okay, you guys just believed him at face value. There's no pushback.
Well,
you put him on with me.
Who cares? Why do you care so much that if or that Kush, the kingdom of Kush, existed and was a thriving country or whatever, civilization?
What century?
1069 before Christ till 350 A.D.
Yeah, let's see some evidence. I want to see not a piece of paper.
Okay, well then I encourage you to look into it. Look into it on the internet. Kingdom of Kush.
Look into Toynbee. And he
okay,
said,
I might. I'm not the one who's interested in this though.
Hey, let me make one point. You can.
But you're interested in saying it's not real. You should check your facts first or something maybe.
I did. I checked with Arnold Toynbee.
No, but Arnold didn't. Did Arnold Toynbee talk about Kush at all?
No, because it didn't exist as a civilization.
But how do you know?
Because listen, if you just give me a chance, Toynbee said.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know the numbers. Let's say 15 civilizations in history have been created by white folk.
Okay.
Asians, maybe 3. I'm throwing numbers out, so don't quote me.
Yeah.
But this is Toynbee's words. To this date, I don't know what year he wrote it, but it was long after Christ was born.
Yeah.
To this date, the black race has not created a single civilization anywhere on Earth.
Maybe he didn't know about
CRT can infiltrate the minds of some of the people that listen to your show, or the minds of innocent students to become indoctrinated into believing in racial equality. What happened?
It doesn't mean anything about equality just because they had a civilization.
Yeah, but it's a lie. It's based on a lie.
But you don't know that it's a lie. You're just assuming that Toynbee may acknowledge Kush, and you're pretending like Toynbee.
He did. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I do know that Stanley.
And just because he didn't know about it doesn't mean other people can't look into it.
Are you going to believe Abraham X whatever his name is.
Ex-Kendi? Of course not.
Yeah, he's the one that put these lies out.
Herodotus. He's a Greek historian from way back in the day, from BC, before Christ, I guess, looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, BC.
No, I believe Toynbee first.
Well, yeah. I know, but
when Stanley and Livingston...
Why are you taking sides on the issue? It doesn't even matter. I mean, it doesn't mean it.
Well,
you're acting like it means,
lies,
that if we acknowledge Kush, that means that racial equality is a real thing. Or
which
whatever.
It's not, and Kush
Nobody
isn't
said
a real
that.
thing either.
But you're assuming.
It's just to make black people feel good about themselves.
There's
no truth in it.
Nobody should feel good about it. Doesn't make any sense.
You try to find evidence of these so-called civilizations, you won't. Toynbee specifically said black people have never created a civilization in the history of the world. Now listen, Stanley and Livingston, I believe they were the first.
Well, look into Kush and see if you find anything, okay?
Well, I'm sure CRT has infested social media, and they'll print their lies.
Did CRT infest Herodotus?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
Herodotus was long before critical race, this fake racism stuff over the last 200 years or however long, was even existed, I think.
Okay, so we're just going to ignore Toynbee and accept this fairy tale of Kush. That's what you want me to believe.
Yep. No, I want you to. I don't actually. I don't care what you think, but I find it interesting. I find it interesting that you're so passionate about this thing, and you have no idea. You're just basing it off of one quote from Toynbee, and Toynbee may not even be. Maybe he said it differently from how you're saying it, and so you're putting meaning onto it. I'm not even saying Toynbee is wrong. I'm saying that you're off on this. You got an issue.
Okay, he can't be wrong.
I know, but you're wrong in how you're interpreting it, perhaps.
Well, I don't know what else I could say. Stanley and Livingston went to Africa as the first explorers of white people.
Okay.
And they said when they got to Africa, the Negroes were using wooden spears. They weren't using metal spears. They were using wooden spears, and metal had been, discovered centuries before Stanley and Livingston went there. Point is, the reason I bring it up is because the whole continent is referred to as the Dark Continent, and I hope that God, Ronnie's listening, because I want to get into it with him again. This is lies. The Kush thing was built on a lie from CRT.
But you don't know that. It's not
guy to make their lies.
I'm sure that CRT is. I've never heard of Kush. From from the race propaganda
I never
stuff?
heard of Kush from anybody.
You're interrupting me. I never heard of Kush from the race propaganda stuff. I heard of Kush from Ronnie, which is race propaganda, but I also heard about it from CJ, who is not a devil worshiper that much that I can tell.
He calls himself evil, and he complains about
No, he doesn't call himself evil. He said evil is real.
Well, he's real evil. Now,
okay.
I don't like that.
All right, I got to run. Nice talking with you.
I tell you this. He condemned me for praying for Chauvin. That's what devils do.
Whatever.
They prey on people who pray.
All right.
They criticize people that pray. They don't like prayer, whether it's for Chauvin or anybody else. That was the first thing out of his dirty mouth.
Hey, I got to run.
For praying for Chauvin.
You acknowledged. You told me that you weren't going to be attacking him anymore, and so take care.
You pray for Chauvin.
Nice.
No, that's a question.
You already asked me that many times.
Well, give me an answer because I don't remember.
I don't remember what my answer was.
Oh, that means no then. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Chauvin's he put his life on the line for us people, and you got a black cop in New York or D.C. that shoots a girl and walks and gets a promotion. And you tried to blame her.
Don't expect justice in this world.
The other day, you said that she was provoking. I forgot. I didn't know your exact words.
Yeah.
But you basically were saying that she kind of deserved it. Now, I know you didn't use those words.
Right.
But I can't remember word for word what you said. But this guy murdered a woman in cold blood on TV.
All right.
For the whole world to see, and nothing happened. Chauvin had to wrestle with a savage, and the guy died. It's very controversial. But anybody that would condemn anybody that would condemn a Christian for praying for another Christian is satanic. And with the title evil, put two and two together. Ask him. Ask the little creep if he's a Satan worshiper. and see what he says. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
All right.
But I don't think I'm wrong. I think he's not an honest person, so he probably won't tell you the truth. Anybody that denies
Mark,
being
I got to run.
Is a fraud. Thank you, Hake. I love you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Wow. What a mess. Robert in Kansas. I have to be brief with you, Robert. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, thanks for the call. Hey,
you called
gosh,
me.
I don't know how you even do the show, bro. Like, I can hardly listen. I don't know how you do this every day.
What do you? What's your trouble with it? What do you mean by that?
Well, no, it's just I trawled in for something, and I'm all over the place with these callers. It's just what it is. But one thing the Bible teaches, I wanted to get out to everybody, is that your kids are assets. They're not liabilities. The world, like when I went to college, they teach you your kids are a liability. If you are able to be intelligent enough to utilize your children, what they call them in the Bible is your slaves, is that they are your slaves.
Slaves.
And they are not liabilities, they are assets, and they're to be utilized such that if you were to, especially a young man who's intelligent enough, if you were to set him up properly, by the time he's 25, he'd be a millionaire working in the trades, let's say, and then he could go to school or do whatever he wants, right? But the fact that they reverse everything, right? The devil seeks inversion. He'll settle for perversion if he can't get inversion, but they teach you the opposite of what kids are. Kids are to be your slaves, and you are to make them wealthy. Okay, they're not liabilities. Okay.
What do you mean the world teaches us that children are a liability? What do you mean by that?
You went to college, correct?
I did.
Yeah, me too. And so you have what they taught. Did they teach you? Like, I went to business school.
No, but what do you explain in short, very briefly, what you mean by they teach us that kids are a liability? I have an idea of what you might mean, and it sounds like kids cost a lot of money. Is that what you mean?
Well, I mean, if you have
is that what you mean?
Well, money is in terms of breast milk. Yes, they need breast milk, right? They need clothes.
No, I'm asking you, is that what they mean? Is that what you mean by they teach us that kids are a liability? Yes? Or is that not what you mean? That they cost money and stuff like that? Is that what you mean by they teach us that kids are a liability? Because I've never heard that language necessarily. But I kind of have a sense. Do you mean that they
cost money?
That's a yes? That they cost money, they're a burden, that type of thing. That's what you mean by liability?
Money. They pit money against everything.
I got you.
So it's always the choice between money
and freedom too, by the way, huh? Yeah, because they're a burden on the woman and punished with a baby, as Obama called it. If his daughters make a mistake, he doesn't want them punished with a baby. He wants them to be able to have an abortion. That's what you mean by they teach us that kids are a liability. Right?
Well, Satan teaches the opposite of what is true, right?
Okay.
You're a globe earth, right? So the earth is not a globe; it's space.
It's obviously a spinning globe. We see it every day with the sunset. You're not gonna gaslight me, Robert.
But that's Satanism. Hey, that's what Satanism is. That's you are following the God of this
spinning globe
world.
Is not Satanism.
That's the God of this world that teaches you what you think is true, Hake. It's not true. You can observe it.
It's so clearly true. Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to get sucked into this. Go ahead.
Hey, so my question here, Hake, I had a conversation yesterday with a man that I really care about and I love. And
real quick, because I got to wrap up.
No,
sorry.
My older brother, Hake, right? I just had a question, dude. What is wrong with the gays?
Nothing. They're the same thing that's wrong with you, man. Good question. Okay. Same thing that's wrong with you. They're listening to Satan.
No,
they're listening to the God of this world.
Like, let's say there's a
Great
gay
call,
guy.
Robert. I got to run, man.
No, I'm just saying, if I were...
I know, I get that I'm discriminating against you. It's
Yeah,
not fair.
Yeah, you are.
It's not
Yeah, you
fair.
are.
It's not right. I'm talking over you. It's very rude. But I have to.
You're
I
probably
have to move
rude to
on.
Derek too, right? You're probably rude to Derek too because he's black.
Maybe sometimes. I mean, he's a flat earther too.
You're probably a racist globe earther, is what I'm thinking at this point.
All right. Take care, Robert. Very fun.
Bye.
Bye. I actually like that point that he brought up about the kids. William number 7 is on the line over here. What's up, William? The 7th.
Hey, can I quote JLP?
Yes, please.
What a mess!
I know. It's terrible. Elijah is in the chat saying, hey, get a hold of your show.
Derek must not be there. Anyway, no, I was just going to talk about the time I rode a camel in Kuwait. We got some time off. And,
that's awesome.
The Saudis, you know, they have them, and they're huge, and they're way bigger than you realize. You can't really tell on TV how big they are, but when you get next to them, you're like, holy moly. So
wow.
They do bow down, and you have to get on them. But this one was set up for tourists, so you get on. It's a platform. And so these guys didn't have to go bow down. And my one friend got on first and rode it. And then when I got on, it didn't want to move. So riding a few horses when I was a young man on our farm, I dug in my heels and I kicked the camel. And that was not what I should have done because the camel bucked and jumped off all four. And that camel jumped so high. And then the basket that you're on that goes around the hump raised up. And I came off the basket. So you're already about 10 feet in the air.
Wow.
And when that guy bucked, I was about 15 feet in the air. And I thought I was going to die. But I chilled out. I landed. I guess it might happen. And so I didn't kick no more. And then the guy led the camel around. But it was so crazy that the lady that was supposed to ride next did not. She refused to do it. And I felt bad that I scared her because of my actions. And she didn't get to ride the camel.
Terrible. That's funny, man. That's interesting. So was that because you were in the military that you were in Kuwait?
I was in the Air Force.
In the 90s or so?
You are correct.
Nice,
I was
man.
there. I did 3 tours in the Middle East.
That's cool. I remember hearing the name Kuwait. That was during, what was that, Bush? HW?
Operation, that was Operation Southern Watch. That was after Desert Storm.
Okay.
And I forget if it was a 90-day war or a 10-day war. I remember it was the shortest war or offensive in history. I remember Norman Schwarzkopf being on the TV and Colin Powell and all that.
That's cool.
But yeah, so that's my story about the Middle East, and that was a pretty good time. I was there for 6 months of that on that one. But
you may have saved that woman's life. Who knows?
Well, I don't think she would have kicked the camel. That's the boldness of me. That's Bill being Bill, or
nice.
William being William.
There you go.
Yeah. So
right
that's
on.
it. So all right. Well, hey, shout out to Derek. I don't know where he's at, but hope all is well.
Oh yeah, no, he's here. He's fine. Yeah.
Oh,
he's just not in control of my show. He's not my producer. He just answers the phones for me.
Okay.
I guess you could call that a producer
him.
somewhat. Yeah, he's somewhat of a producer type of a guy, but he's not. He doesn't lay out my show for me. But thank you, man.
I didn't recognize Nick's voice right at first, and I've only talked to him twice. So, but that's it. God bless you all, and signing out for now.
Thank you, man. Take care, William in California, the 7th. And I got to wrap up. I have just over 30 seconds to close up shop. Everybody, Little Rock It Man says, "Yikes, James. Who's more emotional, Mark or myself? LOL. Get bothered. So many of you forgetting you people are nutcases." And he goes on, but I have to cut it short. Extra alien. Thank you for the cookie. Peace, guys. Take care. Bye.